October 3rd, 1849. A damp, chaotic street in Baltimore. It's election day, and the city is overrun with rain, mud, and political gangs. Outside a public house named Gunner's Hall, a typesetter for the Baltimore Sun, Joseph Walker, spots a man in the gutter. This isn't just a common drunk. The man is delirious, in great distress and trembling. He is wearing cheap, ill-fitting clothes, a soiled shirt, a tattered straw hat. The clothes are not his own. The man is flickering in and out of consciousness, unable to explain who he is or how he got there. Walker bends closer, trying to get a name. The man whispers a name that stops him cold, a name that makes no sense. Poe. Edgar Allan Poe. This isn't possible. This is the most famous, most electrifying literary mind in America. This is the author of The Raven, a poem so sensational it has become a national phenomenon, a parlor game, a cultural obsession. This is the Tomahawk Man, the most feared critic in the country, a man whose pen can build a reputation or bury it. This is the master of the macabre, the cartographer of human terror. And he is here, in the mud, incoherent, dressed in another man's cast-off clothing. He has moved to Washington Medical College and locked in a small room with barred windows, a place reserved for the desperate, the alcoholic, the insane. For 4 days, he is a prisoner in his own mind. He is not lucid. He is tormented by vacant-eyed hallucinations, shouting at phantoms on the wall. He sweats, he trembles, he calls out a name that no one there recognizes. Reynolds. Again and again. Reynolds. The attending physician is baffled. The man in the bed is not the brilliant logician who created Auguste Dupin. He is a terrified, broken creature, lost in a fever dream he cannot escape. Then, in the pre-dawn blackness of October 7th, the struggling stops, a moment of final, terrible clarity. He speaks his last words, a whisper in the dark room. Lord, help my poor soul. And then he is gone. He is 40 years old. The news shocks the nation, but the shock isn't just his death. It's the how. This is the man who invented the detective story. The man who, in the Murders in the Rue Morgue, created the entire genre of ratiocination, the tale solved by pure, cold, analytical logic. And his own death is the greatest, most profound mystery he ever left behind. It is a locked room puzzle, and the key is missing. How does the most recognized author in America disappear for 5 days, only to reappear in a gutter, his mind erased, his body failing? The theories begin almost immediately. The easy answer, the one his enemies and rivals rush to print, is alcohol. A final, pathetic binge that ended his miserable life. But the facts don't fit. Friends swore he was sober. Others suggest rabies, contracted from a stray cat in his final lonely days. A brain tumor, influenza. But a more sinister shadow falls across the case. Cooping, a violent, common form of 19th century voter fraud. Was he abducted by one of the city's notorious political gangs, drugged with laudanum, beaten, disguised, and dragged from one polling station to another? Forced to vote again and again before being discarded like trash, left to die in the rain? We will never know the truth. But this isn't just a story about an unsolved death. This is a story about a life that made death almost inevitable. A life of profound celestial genius and crushing earthly poverty. A life of fame and loneliness. This is the story of a man who conjured the darkness because he could never, ever escape it himself. Before the riddle of his death, there was the riddle of his life. To understand the man found in the gutter, you must go back to the beginning. He was born Edgar Poe in Boston, 1809. His parents are not scholars, not merchants. They are actors, David and Eliza Poe, traveling players, moving from one drafty theater to the next, living a life of applause and poverty. This is his inheritance, the dramatic, the unstable, the romantic, the tragic. And the tragedy begins almost immediately. His father, David, a man of modest talent and heavy drink, abandons the family. He vanishes from the record, leaving Eliza alone with 3 small children, a son, Henry, young Edgar, and an infant daughter, Rosalie. Eliza is, by all accounts, a captivating actress. But in 1811, in a cold boarding house in Richmond, Virginia, her talent is no defense against the 19th century's most prolific killer, tuberculosis. Edgar, not yet 3 years old, is in the room. He watches his mother waste away. He smells the sickness. He hears the rattling cough that will haunt his dreams and his work for the rest of his life. When she dies, she leaves him nothing. No money, no property, only a miniature portrait of herself and a memory of a beautiful, angelic woman, coughing blood. The 3 children are scattered, separated. The family unit is obliterated. Henry is sent to one set of relatives, Rosalie to another. Edgar is taken in by a wealthy local couple, John and Frances Allen. He is given their middle name. He is given fine clothes, a good education. He is given everything except their name legally. He is never ever formally adopted, and this single fact will define him. He is a foster child, a ward, a permanent outsider in the only home he knows. Frances Allen, frail and childless, loves him. She is his protector, his confidant. She is his new angel. But John Allen is a different matter. He is a stern, pragmatic Scottish tobacco merchant. He is a man of ledgers and business, a man who has his own illegitimate children, a man who sees in this brilliant, sensitive, difficult boy a bad investment. John Allen wants a son to join his business. He gets a poet. Edgar wants a father's love. He gets a benefactor's cold, conditional charity. This is the central conflict of his young life. He was raised in privilege, but he is fundamentally an orphan, clinging to the good graces of a man he can neither please nor respect. From 1815 to 1820, the Allens took him to England. For 5 years, he attended the Manor House School in Stoke Newington, a suburb of London. It is a formative experience. He is surrounded by the old world, by crumbling estates, ancient churches, and misty Gothic graveyards. He is soaking in the atmosphere that will one day become the architecture of his fiction. The fall of the House of Usher is not just imagined, it is remembered. He returns to Richmond a teenager. He is brilliant, he is arrogant, he is already haunted. He excels in his studies, in languages, and in writing. He swims 6 miles against the current of the James River just to prove he can. He falls in love, as he always will, with the impossible. Not a girl his own age, but the mother of a friend, Jane Stith Stannard. She is kind to him. She is another angelic maternal figure, and just like his mother, she dies. He is 15. The pattern is set. The women he idealizes are fragile. They are spectral. They die. In 1826, John Allen sent him to the brand new University of Virginia. He is a phenomenal student. He dazzles his professors with his fluency in Latin, Greek, French, and Italian. He is a star, but John Allen, perhaps to teach him a lesson in humility, sends him with only 1/3 of the money he needs for tuition and living expenses. Poe is proud. He is humiliated. He refuses to be the poor relation. So he tries to make the money himself, the only way a 19th century college student can. He gambles, and he loses. He loses spectacularly. He racks up $2,000 in debt, a fortune at the time. He is desperate. Legend says he breaks up his own furniture, burning the wood in his fireplace to stay warm. He confronts John Allen, who refuses to pay a single dollar of the debt. The argument is explosive. It is the end. Poe leaves the university in disgrace. He flees back to Boston, the city of his birth, a place he barely remembers. He is 18 years old, disowned, and penniless. And he does the single most defiant thing he can imagine. He writes. He finds a printer, and using his own meager funds, publishes a thin volume of poetry. Tamerlane and Other Poems, by a Bostonian. It is his first shot fired at the world, his first claim to the literary destiny he knows is his, and the world does not notice. The book vanishes. It is a complete and total failure. No one reads it. No one buys it. He is now truly destitute. He is starving. He is sleeping in the hallways. He is a failure. And so, in an act of pure desperation, he makes a choice that seems impossible for the man he would become. He lies about his name, calling himself Edgar A. Perry. He lies about his age, claiming to be 22, and he enlisted in the United States Army. This is the great contradiction of Edgar Poe. He is not just a dreamy, decadent poet. He is a soldier, and he is a good one. He is structured. He is disciplined. He is analytical. He thrives in the world of mathematics, ballistics, and regulations. He rises quickly through the ranks, achieving the highest non-commissioned rank, Sergeant Major. For 2 years, he finds a strange stability in the rigid, masculine world of the military. But the peace doesn't last. In 1829, he receives a letter. Frances Allen, the only mother he has ever known, the one person who unconditionally loved him, is dying. He gets a furlough. He races back to Richmond, and he arrives the day after her funeral. The door to his childhood, the one source of warmth in that cold house, is literally buried. He stands at her fresh grave, a final, devastating loss. The death of his wife briefly softens John Allan. He agrees to help Poe one last time. Poe, perhaps seeing a path to a respectable career and a final way to reconcile with his foster father, asks for an appointment to the United States Military Academy at West Point. Allan pulls the strings, and in 1830, Poe becomes a cadet. Once again, he excels. He is a brilliant student, particularly in French and mathematics. He is on track to become an officer, a man of status. But then the final break. John Allan marries again to a woman who despises Edgar. Allan has a new, legitimate son. He no longer has any use for his foster son. The letters become cold. The money stops. And Edgar Allan Poe, now 20 years old, realizes the game is over. He will never be John Allan's son. He will never get the love, the name, or the inheritance. And so, he decides to burn the bridge himself. He doesn't just leave West Point. He gets himself thrown out in the most defiant way possible. It is a performance of self-destruction. He deliberately, methodically, and publicly violates every rule. He stops going to classes. He stops going to the chapel. He ignores all orders. He is a model cadet one day, and a complete disaster the next. In January 1831, he was hauled before a court-martial for gross neglect of duty and disobedience of orders. He is found guilty. He is expelled. He walks away from West Point, from the Army, from John Allan, and from any hope of a conventional life forever. He is cast out into the world with nothing but his own mind. He lands in Baltimore, moving in with his aunt, Maria Clem, his brother Henry, who is now sick and dying of alcoholism, and his young cousin, Virginia. This is rock bottom. The house is tiny. They are desperately poor. He is sleeping on a pallet, witnessing the decline of his brother, a grim preview of his own future. He has no job, no prospects. He is a failed soldier, a failed son, a failed poet. All he has is his writing. He scribbles in notebooks, on scraps of paper, anything he can find. He writes with a desperate, hungry energy. He is no longer writing the dreamy poems of his youth. He is writing tales, dark, psychological, terrifying tales. He is writing what he knows. He is writing about claustrophobia, about disease, about being buried alive, about the terror of the mind turning on itself. For 2 years, he has been sending his stories to magazines. They are all rejected. He is at the edge of starvation, of giving up completely. Then, in 1833, a lifeline. The Baltimore Saturday Visitor newspaper announces a literary contest, a $50 prize for the best short story. $50 is a kingdom. He submits 6 stories. The judges, including the novelist John P. Kennedy, are stunned. The stories are unlike anything they have ever read. They are so powerful, so original, that the judges at first believe it must be a hoax. They declare one myth found in a bottle the winner, but they publish a note stating that all of his submissions were worthy of the prize. It's not just the money. It is the first real public validation of his genius. One of the judges, Kennedy, takes Poe under his wing. He gives him money, he gives him food, and most importantly, he gives him an introduction. A man named Thomas White in Richmond is starting a new literary journal, the Southern Literary Messenger. He needs an editor. He needs someone with talent and a sharp, critical mind. John P. Kennedy knows exactly the man. In 1835, Edgar Allan Poe returned to Richmond, the city of his greatest childhood humiliations. He walks back in not as John Allan's failed foster son, but as a professional man of letters. He takes the editor's chair at the Messenger. He is 26 years old, and he immediately unleashes his full intellectual force. He writes stories, he writes poems, but most of all, he writes criticism. He is not polite, he is not kind, he is a scalpel. He attacks the literary elites, the lazy novelists, and the celebrated poets he believes are frauds. He becomes the tomahawk man. He is feared, he is hated, he is read. In 1 year, he increases the Messenger's circulation from 700 to over 1,000. He is, at last, a success. He is Edgar Allan Poe, the most powerful critic in America. And to complete his new life, he sends for the 2 people who were with him at his lowest point. He sends for his Aunt Maria and her daughter, Virginia. He is building a new family. He is building his own house. And he is about to marry his 13-year-old cousin. The rise is complete. The stage is set for the triumph and the tragedy of his peak. He is 26 years old, and for the first time in his life, he has a stable, professional identity. He He is the editor of the Southern Literary Messenger. He is a man of letters, and he wants a family. He sends for his aunt, Maria Clem, the woman who took him in when he was at his lowest, and her daughter, his young cousin, Virginia. This is his new household. Maria becomes his surrogate mother, his housekeeper, his tireless defender. And Virginia becomes his everything. On May 16, 1836, in Richmond, he marries her. He is 27. She is 13. The marriage license, to avoid a public scandal, falsely lists her age as 21. Biographers will debate for centuries what this relationship truly was. Was it a desperate, lonely man clinging to the last piece of family he had? Was it a chaste brother-sister bond, as some of his friends would later claim? Or was it a true romantic marriage? The letters we have show only a deep, profound, and protective love. He calls her Sissy. She calls him Eddie. He tutors her in mathematics and classics. She plays the harp and sings for him. Whatever its private nature, this small, insular world, his little wife and his muddy, becomes his fortress. It is the one single point of light and sanity in his life. It is the home he never had, and outside this home he builds an empire. The rise was his entry. The peak is his declaration of war. As an editor, he is not a gentle curator. He is an executioner. He is the tomahawk man. He attacks the cozy, self-congratulatory literary establishment of Boston and New York, the Frog Pondians, as he calls them. He believes American literature is drowning in mediocrity, in sentimental novels and lazy poetry. He believes he is the only one with the standards, the intellect, and the courage to say so. He is brilliant, he is precise, he is arrogant, and he is brutal. A typical review from his pen is a masterpiece of intellectual dissection. He doesn't just say a book is bad, he proves it, line by line, comma by comma. He accuses the most celebrated poet in America, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, of plagiarism. Not once, but repeatedly, sparking a national literary war. He makes enemies, powerful enemies. He makes Rufus Wilmot Griswold, another editor and anthologist, his lifelong rival, a man who will one day get the ultimate revenge. But he also makes The Messenger the most talked about journal in the South. He leaves Richmond, moves north to Philadelphia. This is the center of American publishing, and he intends to conquer it. In Philadelphia from 1839 to 1844, he entered his golden age. This is where the critic and the creator become one. He edits Burton's Gentleman's Magazine, then Graham's Magazine. He is a phenomenal editor. He doesn't just curate, he creates. He takes Graham's from a circulation of 5,000 to over 40,000, a staggering number for the time. He is making it the most important, most sophisticated magazine in the country. And he is filling its pages with his own work. And what work it is. He's not just writing stories. He is inventing entire genres from scratch. In April of 1841, he publishes The Murders in the Rue Morgue. It is not just a story. It is a blueprint. It is the birth of the modern detective story. He invents the eccentric, brilliant, amateur detective, C. Auguste Dupin. He invents the baffled police force. He invents the locked room puzzle. He invents the solution based on pure ratiocination, the unraveling of a crime not by action, but by sitting in an armchair and thinking. Every detective, from Sherlock Holmes to Hercule Poirot to Batman, is born in that moment a direct descendant of Dupin. He has created a new category of human fiction, and at the same time, he perfects another. He is not writing ghost stories. The world is full of cheap, supernatural shocks. Poe is doing something new, something far more terrifying. He is mapping the human mind. He is the first great explorer of psychological horror. His tales are not about monsters from the outside. They are about the monsters within. The narrator of The Telltale Heart is not haunted by a ghost. He is haunted by his own guilt, which he hears as a beating heart beneath the floorboards. The protagonist of The Black Cat is not possessed by a demon. He is possessed by alcoholism and the spirit of perversity, that uniquely human impulse to do something terrible, precisely because you know you shouldn't. He is writing about obsession. He is writing about paranoia. He is writing about the moment that sanity cracks. He is writing, in almost confessional detail, about the anxieties that plague his own mind. The fear of being buried alive, the premature burial, was a common 19th century phobia. He makes it a visceral, suffocating literary experience. He's putting his own nightmares on the page, and America cannot get enough. He is, by any measure, at the absolute peak of his profession. He is the most talked about, most original, most influential writer of his day. And he is, at all times, desperately, crushingly poor. This is the central, agonizing contradiction of his life. The system is broken. He is paid by the page. There is no international copyright, so his stories are pirated endlessly in England and Europe, and he never sees a cent. He is a literary giant who has to beg his editors for a $5 advance. He is a household name who lives on the edge of starvation. This poverty is not a romantic detail. It is a constant humming anxiety. It is a humiliation. It fuels his rage at the literary establishment. It strains his marriage. It drives his desperate, frantic pace of work. He writes The Gold Bug, a story about finding buried treasure, and wins a $100 prize. It's the most money he's ever made from a single work. It has gone almost instantly, paying off old, agonizing debts. He dreams of starting his own magazine, The Pen, which he would later call The Stylus. It is his holy grail, a journal he would own, where he could finally have creative and financial control. He will chase this dream, this one path to security, until the day he dies. He will never, ever achieve it. In 1S44, he moves to New York City. He is chasing the dream. He is running out of options. And in New York, the one thing he has always craved, the one thing he has fought and scraped and clawed for, finally arrives. True, undeniable, international celebrity. It happened on January 29, 1845, in the New York Evening Mirror. It is a poem, The Raven. The reaction is not just positive. It is explosive. It is a cultural detonation. The poem is reprinted in every city, in every newspaper, in every magazine. It is parodied. It is memorized. It is recited in salons and on street corners. It is the thriller of the 1840s. Edgar Allan Poe is not just a writer anymore. He is a phenomenon. He is a pop culture icon. Children flap their arms and caw, "Nevermore," when he walks down the street. He is invited to the most exclusive literary salons, where he is asked again and again to recite the poem in his dark, melodic voice. He has done it. He has achieved the fame he knew he always deserved. The payment for this masterpiece, the single most famous poem in American history, $9, maybe $15. The fame is total. The financial reward is, as always, a bitter joke. But the complexity of this act is not just about fame and poverty. The real story, the one that will lead to his destruction, is happening in private. It begins in 1842, back in Philadelphia. He is at the peak of his powers at Graham's. He is writing The Murders in the Rue Morgue. And one night, his wife Virginia is at the piano, singing. She stops, she coughs, and a single drop of blood appears on her lips. He calls it the rupture of a blood vessel. But he knows what it is. It is the Red Death. It is tuberculosis. It is the disease that stole his mother. It is the disease that stole his brother. And now it has come for his wife. It has come for the one pure, stable thing in his world. For the next 5 years, he lives in hell. This is not a quick, merciful illness. It is a slow, agonizing decline. She will recover for a few weeks, and his hopes will soar. He will believe in a miracle. Then she will hemorrhage again, and he will plunge back into despair. He later describes it in a letter. I became insane with long intervals of horrible sanity. During these fits of absolute unconsciousness, I drank, but not for pleasure. I drank for the temporary relief of a grief that was intolerable. This is the key. This is the truth behind the inner demon of his alcoholism. He is not a common drunk. He is, by all accounts, a man with a profound, almost allergic sensitivity to alcohol. One single glass of wine, one sip of brandy could send him into a multi-day spiral of incoherence, rage, and profound depression. He knows this. He hates it. He joins temperance societies. He pledges his sobriety again and again, but the sight of his wife, his sissy, wasting away in front of him, the horrible, never-ending oscillation between hope and despair, is a torment he cannot face sober. He drinks not to feel good. He drinks to feel nothing, to find a moment's oblivion. This is the man behind the icon. He is not the cool, logical, Auguste Dupin. He is the narrator of The Telltale Heart. He is a man whose sanity is cracking under an unbearable, rhythmic, pulsing pressure, and it makes him reckless. His behavior becomes erratic. He loses his job at Graham's. He lashes out at friends. He is a public figure, a celebrity, and he is falling apart in public. The contradictions become staggering. In 1846, he is living in a tiny, unheated cottage in Fordham, New York. Virginia is on her deathbed, shivering under his old West Point greatcoat. They have no money. They have no food. They are literally starving and freezing to death. And what is Edgar Allan Poe, the famous poet, doing? He is in the literary salons of Manhattan, engaging in a reckless, public, passionate, and purely textual flirtation with another married poet, Frances Sargent Osgood. How can both be true? How can he be the devoted, terrified husband holding his dying wife's hand? And also the careless, preening celebrity, betraying her in the pages of magazines? This is the complexity. He is not a simple man. He is brilliant and broken. He is desperate for the fame and desperate for an escape from his life. The scandal explodes. Another woman, Elizabeth Elliot, whose advances he had spurned, gets involved. She is jealous. She spreads rumors. She reveals the letters. Poe, in a blind panic, looks like a kid, a liar, and a fool. Virginia, on her deathbed, is humiliated. She reads the gossip. She reportedly blames Elliot for her final fatal decline, claiming the stress murdered her. This is the peak. This is the complexity. He is Edgar Allan Poe, the inventor of the detective story, the father of the modern horror tale, the most famous poet in America, and he is a man trapped. He is trapped by a fame that pays him in notoriety but not in dollars. He is trapped by a grief that is literally killing the only person he has ever loved. He is trapped by an addiction he cannot control, which is a symptom of a pain he cannot bear. He is at the absolute zenith of his career, and he has never been lower. He is a broken, desperate man, presiding over a 5-year-long deathbed. And the final, darkest act is yet to come. January 30th, 1847. The small, rented cottage in Fordham, New York. It is bitterly, painfully cold. The family is destitute. They have no firewood. They have no money. Visitors who make the trek from Manhattan are horrified. They find Virginia, his sissy, his child bride, dying of tuberculosis. She is 24 years old. She is pale, emaciated, and shivering under a thin blanket. The only thing keeping her from freezing to death is Poe's old wool greatcoat from his West Point days, and the family's cat, Katerina, who lies on her chest, providing a small, desperate warmth. Edgar is at her side, holding her hand. He has watched this for 5 years. The hope, the hemorrhages, the despair. Now, the horrible, never-ending oscillation is over. She dies. And with her, Edgar Allan Poe collapses. The man who emerges from that sick room is not the same man who went in. He is, by his own account, undone. He suffers a complete physical and mental breakdown, ill for months, unable to write, unable to function. He is nursed by friends, most notably Marie-Louise Shaw, who he later writes saved his life. He is suicidal. He is unmoored. The one true, stable anchor of his life, the small, fragile girl who was his cousin, his wife, his student, and his entire world is gone. The Raven is no longer a poem. It is his reality. He is the man in the dark room, and his soul from that shadow shall be lifted nevermore. When he does begin to write again, the work is different. It is haunted, spectral. Just months after her death, he writes Ulaloon. It is a poem of pure, unadulterated grief, a conversation with his own soul as he wanders, dazed, through a dark, mist-shrouded graveyard on the very night he had buried his love a year before. He is writing his own autobiography in verse, and then he turns his gaze from the grave to the cosmos. He begins work on his strangest, most ambitious, and to him, most important work. A vast, sprawling prose poem called Eureka. He is not just writing a book. He is trying to explain the entire universe. He is trying to find God in the equations of physics. He is trying to build a new, logical, cosmic system to replace the personal, chaotic, agonizing world that has been taken from him. He lectures on it. He insists it is not art, but truth. It is the work of a man who has lost his earthly home and is now desperately, brilliantly trying to build one among the stars. It is profound, and to many it is the clear final evidence of his madness. He is now completely untethered. He is a celebrity, but he is a pariah. He is a genius, but he is a public spectacle. His final 2 years are a frantic, desperate search. A search for money, a search for a new anchor, a search for a new wife. He is a man who cannot be alone. He needs a savior, a new angelic woman to protect him. He begins a series of chaotic, public, and overlapping courtships. He proposes to the poet Sarah Helen Whitman in Providence. He does it, fittingly, in a cemetery. She is hesitant. His reputation, his drinking, his poverty, they are all liabilities. To convince her, he pledges his sobriety. He joins the Sons of Temperance, but the pressure is too much. In a fit of despair, believing she will reject him, he travels to Boston and attempts suicide, swallowing an survivable dose of laudanum. The attempt fails. The engagement predictably is broken off. He is spinning out of control. He is lecturing, but his behavior is erratic. He is brilliant one night, incoherent the next. He is burning every bridge he has left. Finally, in the summer of 1849, he travels back to where it all began. Back to Richmond, Virginia, the city of his childhood, the city of John Allen, the city of his first great failures and first great triumphs. And there he finds a ghost. He finds Elmira Royster Shelton. She was his first love, his teenage fiancée, the girl he was engaged to before he went to the university, the one whose wealthy father intercepted their letters and married her off to another man. Now, she is a widow, and she is wealthy. It is the perfect poetic ending to his life, a full circle. He courts her passionately. He is sober. He is lucid. He is charming. He is, for a moment, the man he was always meant to be. He lectures in Richmond, and it is a triumph. He is celebrated. He is welcomed home. He proposes to Elmira, and she accepts. The future, for the first time in his life, seems possible. He has a plan. He will marry Elmira. Her wealth will finally give him the stability he has craved. He will at last launch The Stylus, his dream magazine. He will bring his aunt, Maria Clem, to Richmond, and they will all live together. He will be safe. He will be solvent. He will be home. In late September of 1849, he leaves Richmond by boat. He has over $1,500 in his pocket, a vast sum for him. He is traveling to New York to settle his affairs, to pick up Maria, and to return to Virginia to be married. He is happy. He is healthy. He is sober. He writes to Maria from the boat, "We have come to a determination to be happy." He is 40 years old. He has at last survived. He makes a stop in Philadelphia, and here, the thread is broken. Here, he steps off the map of his known life. He is supposed to go to New York. He never arrives. For 5 days, Edgar Allan Poe vanishes from the face of the earth. The story resumes on October 3rd, a rainy, chaotic election day in Baltimore. A typesetter named Joseph Walker is at a polling place called Gunner's Hall, a rough, notorious tavern. He sees a man lying in the gutter. The man is not just drunk. He is semi-conscious, delirious, in a state of beastly intoxication, as Walker would later say. He is wearing cheap, soiled, tattered clothes, a dirty shirt, a straw hat. They are not his own. Walker, a man who works for the Baltimore Sun, recognizes the face. It is, impossibly, Edgar Allan Poe. He is incoherent, but he whispers a name, Joseph Snodgrass, a local editor. Walker sends a desperate note. There is a gentleman, rather the worse for wear, at Ryan's Fourth Ward polls, who goes under the cognomen of Edgar A. Poe, and who appears in great distress. He says he is acquainted with you, and I assure you he is in need of immediate assistance. Poe is taken to Washington Medical College. He is not admitted as a celebrity. He is admitted as a charity case, a common drunk, and placed in a tower room with barred windows. For 4 days, he is trapped in a nightmare. The attending physician, Dr. John Moran, is our only witness, and his account is terrifying. Poe is not drunk. He is violently ill. He is drenched in sweat, trembling, and gripped by horrifying, vacant-eyed hallucinations. He shouts at phantoms on the walls, talking to imaginary companions. He is in the grips of what we would now call delirium tremens, or something else. He calls out, repeatedly, for a man named Reynolds. No one knows who Reynolds is. To this day, no one knows. He is never lucid long enough to explain what happened. He never mentions his fiancée in Richmond. He never mentions his aunt in New York. He is lost. Then, in the early hours of October 7th, the struggling stops. He grows quiet. He utters his last simple words, "Lord, help my poor soul." And then he is dead. The mystery of his death begins before he is even in the ground. What happened in those 5 missing days? The official cause of death is listed as phrenitis, or congestion of the brain. This was a polite 19th century euphemism for death by alcoholism. It's the simple, easy answer. It's the one his enemies prefer. But it doesn't fit the facts. He was a known lightweight. He was found in clothes not his own. And Dr. Moran, the man who treated him, would later swear that he detected no odor of liquor on the dying man. So if not drink, what? The theories are legion. Rabies, the symptoms of delirium, hydrophobia, and confusion, are a near-perfect match. A brain tumor, influenza, but the most sinister and perhaps most plausible theory is cooping. It was election day. Political gangs roamed the streets, grabbing unsuspecting victims. They would ply them with drugs and alcohol, coop them up in a basement, then dress them in different clothes and drag them from one polling station to another, forcing them to vote again and again. When they were done, they would leave the victim in the gutter. It would explain everything: the location, the delirium, the strange, tattered clothes. The father of the detective story had, in his final, agonizing days, become the victim in one of his own unsolved mysteries. His funeral is a quiet, pathetic affair. He is buried in an unmarked grave in a Baltimore churchyard. Fewer than 10 people attend. It is an ignominious end to a spectacular life. But the story is not over. The battle for his legacy begins immediately. And the first shot is fired by his greatest enemy, Rufus Wilmot Griswold. The editor and anthologist Poe had humiliated in print the man he had accused of being a fraud. The day after Poe's death, before the body is even cold, Griswold publishes an obituary under the pseudonym Ludwig. It is a masterpiece of character assassination. Edgar Allan Poe is dead, it begins. This announcement will startle many, but few will be grieved by it. He paints Poe as a drunken, depraved, arrogant, amoral monster. A man of unquestionable genius, but a man who was wayward, friendless, and without a single spark of conscience. It is a vicious, libelous attack, and Griswold is just getting started. He maneuvers his way into becoming Poe's official literary executor. He gets his hands on all of Poe's private letters, and in 1850, he publishes a memoir of Poe, a biography that is a catastrophic, intentional lie. He forges Poe's letters, he twists his words, he manufactures events, he creates the Poe that the world will come to know, the drug-addled, drunken, Byronic fiend. His goal is to destroy Poe's reputation forever. And here is the greatest, most profound irony of Poe's life. Griswold's plan backfires. The memoir is so lurid, so sensational, so Gothic that it sells. It makes Poe's stories, which are bound with it, sell by the tens of thousands. Griswold's attempt to murder Poe's character accidentally turns him into a legend. He makes Poe a Poe character, the ultimate dark romantic doomed genius. But the real legacy, the one that would survive the lies, is the work itself. In America, he was, for a time, dismissed. He was too dark for the optimistic transcendentalist world of Emerson and Hawthorne. But across the ocean in France, the poet Charles Baudelaire discovers his stories. He sees not a drunk, but a master. He recognizes a brother in darkness, the ultimate modern artist. Baudelaire spends 17 years of his life, a sacred mission, translating Poe's work into exquisite French. Through Baudelaire, Poe explodes across Europe. He becomes the father of the French symbolist movement. He becomes an icon. He is, to the world, the true face of American literature. And his influence is not a river, it is an ocean. It is so vast we are still swimming in it. Every time you read a detective story, you are reading Poe. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, said it himself. Poe, in his tales of ratiocination, was the father of it all. Every time you watch a horror movie, you are watching Poe. He was the first to understand that the true terror is not in the cellar, but in the mind. He is the father of psychological horror. H.P. Lovecraft, Stephen King, Alfred Hitchcock, they are all his children. Every time you read a science fiction novel, you are reading Poe. Jules Verne, the father of the genre, built his work on the foundation of Poe's Eureka and his tales of balloon voyages. He is not just a writer, he is an architect. He designed the blueprints for 3 separate genres, any one of which would have made him immortal. In the end, he lost every battle. He lost his mother, he lost his brother, he lost his foster father, he lost his wife, he lost his money, he lost his health, he lost his reputation, he died in a gutter in another man's clothes. But he won the war. The man who lived in constant, agonizing poverty is now one of the most read, most influential writers on the planet. The man who is buried in an unmarked grave is now a global icon. He took his pain, his loss, his grief, and his terror, and he forged them into art. An art so powerful, so original, and so true that it will live forever. He leaves Richmond in late September 1849. He is, for the first time, perhaps ever, a man with a future. He is 40 years old. He has survived. He has just triumphed, lecturing to adoring crowds in his childhood city. He has reconnected with and become engaged to his first lost love, the wealthy widow Elmira Royster Shelton. He is sober. He has joined the Sons of Temperance, a public pledge against the demon that has stalked him. He has money in his pocket, a reported $1,500, a sum that is, for him, a fortune. His plan is simple. His heart is light. He will travel to New York, retrieve his muddy Maria Clem, and bring her back to Richmond to begin his new life. He will finally launch The Stylus, the magazine that was his life's professional dream. He is healthy. He is happy. He writes to Maria his final hopeful words: "We have come to a determination to be happy." He steps onto the boat, a man who has finally, after a lifetime of war, found peace. He is a man walking into his own ending. He travels to Philadelphia. He is supposed to stay 1, maybe 2 nights before continuing to New York. He visits friends. He is seen briefly, and then he is gone. He vanishes. For 5 days, Edgar Allan Poe, the most famous, most recognizable author in America, steps off the face of the earth. 5 days. Where did he go? What happened in that void? Did he, in a moment of weakness, take that first fatal glass of wine that he knew would undo him? Did he fall ill? Was he met by someone? Was he followed? This is the black box at the center of the mystery. The man who invented the locked room puzzle leaves us with an empty room. No witnesses, no letters, no clues. His happy future, his fiancée, his dream, all of it dissolves into this 5-day fog. The man who emerges on the other side is not the same man who left Richmond. The man who emerges is a ghost. The date is October 3rd, 1849. The place is Baltimore. It is Election Day. The city is a chaotic mess of rain, mud, and political violence. Gangs roam the streets. Taverns serving as polling places are epicenters of bribery and brawling. Outside one such tavern, a rough public house called Gunner's Hall, a typesetter for the Baltimore Sun named Joseph Walker is heading to work. He spots something in the gutter, huddled on a wooden plank under the tavern's awning. A man. Walker assumes he is just another drunk, another casualty of the election, but he looks closer. The man is not just asleep. He is delirious. He is trembling. He is in great distress. And his clothes. The clothes are wrong. They are cheap, filthy, and ill-fitting. A soiled, tattered shirt, a worn straw hat. They are not the clothes of a gentleman. They are not the clothes of Edgar Allan Poe. Yet when Walker bends down, the face he sees is unmistakable. It is the face from the magazines, the high forehead, the haunted eyes. It is Poe. He is incoherent, rather the worse for wear, as Walker would later put it. He is barely conscious, but he manages to whisper a name. Dr. Joseph Snodgrass, a local editor and a man of medicine. Walker, stunned, knows he cannot leave him. He rushes to a nearby office and scribbles one of the most famous, desperate notes in literary history. "Dear Sir, there is a gentleman, rather the worse for wear, at Ryan's 4th Ward polls, who goes under the cognomen of Edgar A. Poe, and who appears in great distress. He says he is acquainted with you, and I assure you he needs immediate assistance." Snodgrass arrives. He is a man of the temperance movement, and he sees what he expects to see. His old friend, the brilliant, tragic Poe, has fallen off the wagon. He has succumbed to a final pathetic election day binge. The assumption is simple. It is tidy, and it is almost certainly wrong. Poe is not taken home. He is not taken to a friend's house. He is a charity case. He is transported to Washington Medical College and given to the care of the attending physician, Dr. John J. Moran. He is placed in a tower room, a room with barred windows, a room for alcoholics and the insane. He is, for all intents and purposes, a prisoner. And here, in this small, locked room, the final act of his life unfolds over 4 agonizing days. Dr. Moran is our only witness, and his account, written years later, contradicts everything. He claims he found no odor of liquor on Poe. The man in his care was not a common drunk. He was instead a man in the grips of a violent, terrifying illness. He is not lucid, Not once. He is drenched in sweat, trembling so violently he can barely be held down. He is in a state of profound delirium. He is having vacant-eyed hallucinations, shouting at phantoms on the walls, speaking to imaginary companions. This is not the quiet stupor of alcohol. This is a mind that has been hijacked. Dr. Moran sits with him, tries to calm him, tries to get an answer. What happened to him? Who did this? Poe cannot say. He is lost, trapped in the nightmare. He speaks, but his words are, as Moran writes, incoherent and unsatisfactory. He is agitated. He is terrified. He is dying. For 3 days, the cycle repeats. Delirium, followed by a brief, quiet stupor, followed by more violent tremors and hallucinations. He is, de Moran notes, refusing water, fighting against any attempt to make him drink. And in his delirium, he calls out, repeatedly. He calls a name that will haunt the mystery forever. Reynolds, he shouts it. Reynolds! Who is Reynolds? Was it Jeremiah Reynolds, an explorer whose Antarctic adventures had inspired Poe's only novel? Was it a polling place worker? Was it the man who abducted him? Was it a name from his past at West Point? We will never know. The name hangs in the air of that hospital room, an unanswered question. The last clue from a dying detective. In the early dark hours of October 7th, 1849, the fourth day, the terror finally subsides. The thrashing stops. The room grows quiet. Dr. Moran, at his bedside, reports that Poe seems to drift into a final, brief moment of clarity. He is calm. He looks perhaps at the window, at the coming dawn, and he whispers his final words, "Lord, help my poor soul." And then, silence. The fever breaks. The heart stops. The greatest, most original mind in American literature is gone. He is 40 years old. The man is dead. The mystery is born. How? How does a man, sober, happy, and wealthy, end up in a gutter, delirious in another man's clothes 4 days later? The simple answer, the one his enemies seized upon, was drink. That he met old friends in Philadelphia, that his famous, almost allergic weakness to alcohol was his undoing. That one glass led to 5 days of oblivion. It's possible, but it doesn't explain the clothes. It doesn't explain the specific, violent nature of his delirium. The theory that fits the facts like a key in a lock is cooping. It was election day. The polling place where he was found was infamous. The gangs were out. It explains everything. The abduction, the 5 lost days held in a basement, the drugging and the forced drinking, a cocktail of laudanum and whiskey to keep him compliant, the changing of clothes to vote for him at different polls, and finally, the disposal. A victim, used up, dumped in the gutter, left to die. He was not a drunk. He was a victim of a violent crime. Or was it something else? Something medical. Modern analysis of his symptoms, of Moran's account, points to other terrifying possibilities. The tremors, the delirium, the hallucinations, the hydrophobia, the refusal to drink water. These are the textbook, agonizing symptoms of rabies. Perhaps in his lonely final weeks, a stray cat, a friendly dog, a single, unremembered bite, or perhaps it was a brain tumor, a lesion that doctors had allegedly warned him about, a flaw in his brain that made him exquisitely sensitive to any stimulant, a ticking clock that finally, in Baltimore, struck midnight. We will never know. The father of ratiocination, the man who believed every puzzle had a logical solution, left us with one that is unsolvable. He died in a locked room whose key is lost forever. He died as he lived, in a mystery. He became one of his own tales,